Let's go ahead and get started. I really appreciate your time today, guys. And what I'd like to do to start off, our topic today is about the very first Vintage Computer Festival SoCal that's happening in February of 2024. I'm pretty excited about that. I'm going to try to attend. And I wanted to talk with you guys, real briefly about that show, what's going to happen, and just get some details for the listeners. So, if we could just quickly run around the room, maybe 2 minutes each, you guys introduce yourselves and what your involvement is with the show. Maybe we can start off with you, Steve.
Oh no, let's start with Mickey. Mickey's the showrunner.
Okay.
So, Mickey Diederich. I'm the showrunner. I am Mrs. Vintnerd of the Vintnerd channel. We decided to start a YouTube channel during the pandemic, and I learned how to edit video. So I edit, I do the graphic design, and some of the marketing. And we decided we were going to start VCFSoCal together. And I inserted myself as showrunner, considering my marketing and event planning background.
And lots of other things. So
I'm sure there's a lot involved in putting together a show, so I'm sure you're busy.
yeah, well, as Mickey said, we started the Vintner during the pandemic, whenever that was. Anybody remembers that? So I like vintage retro, and I got deeper back into it. Of course, everybody found something new to do during the pandemic. So although Mickey says we started a channel, it's more so she let me do it because this takes space. So we're having a good time with it, and we ended up going to the VCF in Texas, the Southwest, and that's where we met Matt and we met Levi.
Mm-hmm.
And Matt was very interested in seeing one happen in our area as well. And Levi was also very interested. And one of the things was at Southwest, we met Levi in the hotel, and we got talking, and it was really good conversation. Of course, we met Matt at the show, but the two never met. Not Matt and Levi, but the hotel never met the show. Whoever he ran into the hotel maybe didn't see at the show. And so when we started organizing this, we wanted everything in one place so that everybody stays in the same hotel if you're not local, or maybe if you are. And we can also have times outside the show hours, the evenings, Friday evening, Saturday evening, to also hang out. Like one of my thoughts is Saturday after the show, meet in the lobby with your favorite device that runs Doom. Maybe your Apple Watch, maybe an old Kodak camera or whatever. Just let's continue the fun and have more fun with retro and meet more people.
Very good. Let's continue the introductions. How about you, Levi?
Hi, I'm Levi Maya, based in Santa Barbara, and Steve had mentioned that Matt and I had never met. We live in the same town, but we didn't know that there were that the two of us were just less than a mile apart from each other, both enjoying sort of the same stuff, kind of getting back involved with retro computers during the pandemic. So I had to go all the way to Texas to meet someone who was in my own backyard. And so hopefully with VCFSoCal, we'll be able to sort of bring together a community around Southern California of people who have these similar interests. I know I got interested in retro computers I knew I wanted to get back into my Apple II GS that's been sitting in my parents' basement for 25 plus years, longer than that. I put it down there when I got my first Mac, and I said, well, this was an important machine for me. It was something that really got me interested in computing and technology as a kid. And so I didn't know what I wanted to do with it. And she'd ask me every few years, do you want to keep that? And I'd say, yeah, keep it. Don't throw it away. Finally, about 2 years ago, brought it out to California, set it up, and then that's what got me into the deep dive of getting back into retro computers. And that's when I realized so many people had found a similar interest during the pandemic. So I'm excited to be part of the startup team for VCFSoCal.
Nice. Welcome, Levi. How about you, Matt?
Similar story to Levi. I got back into retro computers in the pandemic again. To relive kind of the past, a better time, a simpler time, but also to learn more about a different side of things. Right, I was always a software guy, and I wanted to learn more about hardware, and so I used kind of the same way that I think people kind of work on classic cars, right? They are a lot more simple. They are a lot more kind of straightforward and to get to learn. So I use that in order to get into the hardware engineering side of it. But yeah, same thing. I didn't meet anybody, haven't met anybody in Santa Barbara, that or very few people that are in the kind of retro scene, and so went to Texas, and we all met at a show, and I was exhibiting there along with just a ton of other people, and so it was a lot of fun. And then yeah, ended up meeting Levi at the show when Steve and Mickey said, "Hey, there's a guy here from Santa Barbara, right?" I was like, "There's no way, there's no way." But yeah, and so the impetus for wanting to get involved with this for me is to have kind of build more of a community in my own backyard. I do love traveling to the different shows, but what do you do between shows, right? Like who do you interact with and things like that. And so that's really where the interest came for me. So I'm really excited to be a part of it.
I was the only one who wasn't an exhibitor of the folks here today. So they've inspired me to be an exhibitor at VCFSoCal. So, and I know that we've already got a bunch of tables that look really exciting.
Mhm.
Great. And then is that Rob up there in the corner? I see.
Yep.
Yes.
going,
Hey,
Randy?
Rob.
Morning, Rob.
How's it? You gonna introduce yourself real quick?
Sure. So Rob Sherman, known as Amos for the Southern Amos projects. This really came about from, well, I'm a bit of a serial attendee to the VCF Midwest, and obviously have been pretty involved with the Atari community, pretty long term in doing the work that the Southern Amos projects has, been undertaking for the last, 6-7 years. So, I mean, being in Southern California, but being on the East Coast to start, right, and then being a bit of a transplant here, there's such a void. And meeting up with Steve and Mickey was actually quite pleasant, because we were looking for a bit of an Atari community, right, with Jason Moore being in town, and of course, right, the whole group that's here today. And once we started doing that and taking a look at the quality that comes out of the Vintnerd, and a bit of that focus on Atari, I was hooked, right? And then anything that we can do to further the Southern California sort of, there's some pent up demand, I would say, for a similar show like this. Bringing people together is, continuing on projects is one thing, but the reintroduction or the introduction to a wider community of people that quite passionate about the topic, I would say. Really looking forward to the event.
Awesome. So real quick, if I could get you guys to tell the listeners what your favorite vintage computer platform is. Rob, you want to start?
Oh, well, it's Atari. I think I've got every piece of of the platform. I think Steve will tell you the same thing. And especially as it relates to BBSing, and the recent acquisition. And I have to thank Steve for this as well, of a Spider device that was built in 1987, that goes with Nightlight BBS. Taking those things, preserving them, and bringing them forward. Anything related to Atari. I mean, even now I'm sitting here and I'm looking at an Atari 2600 Plus that I'm about to plug in.
Ah, nice. Yeah, those are brand new out. How about you, Matt? What's your favorite platform?
Well, I'm an IBM guy, but I have to say my favorite platform are Classic Macs. It's really got that nostalgia, kind of that peaks nostalgia for me. It was probably because it was at a certain time, or I have certain memories. So I do a lot with IBM ThinkPad laptops specifically, but if you put me to it, I'm gonna have to say Classic Compact Macs.
All right, Levi.
The Apple II GS was my first computer. My mom was a school teacher back in the 80s, and so she started bringing a loaner Apple IIc home. And when we got hooked, she ended up buying one through the district, buying an Apple II GS from the district. So I have to say the old Apple IIs are my go-to. But I'm getting back into the Commodore 64. I never owned one, but I had a cousin who had one, and I always wanted to know more about it. And I'm just so enthralled with the SID chip and the VIC chip and all the stuff that it was doing back in the day that my Apple II couldn't do. And I knew that there was something special about the Commodore 64 as a kid, and I'm starting to appreciate that now. So I would say both of those platforms are peak nostalgia for me.
Steve, how about you?
Well, just like Levi said, I'm getting to know a lot of the other machines I didn't have when I was younger, and appreciating them. And although Rob would say Atari's my favorite, which really it is, but the start was a Hewlett Packard 2000 mainframe in high school that I learned to program network programming on, making multi-player network games. So it's that's really I have a space in in my head for that one, but I can't fit that in the house right now. So I'll go with Atari. Atari 400 was my first personal computer, and learned to play BASIC on that with a little membrane keyboard, or play BASIC, write BASIC. But yeah, definitely an Atari guy. You can probably tell a little bit here. But.
Yeah, I can tell by the videos that you produce. I mean, a lot of them are about Atari. So, what about Mrs. Vintnerd?
I started on a Commodore 64, which is actually right here in the studio with us.
Oh,
and then
yeah.
Moved on to the SX64. I've got actually a cute photo of me on it as a kid. And then we also just recently picked up this TRS-80 Model 2, Model 3, my bad. That I used at the grade school, to regularly die of dysentery, playing Oregon Trail.
or Oregon Trail, like as some people call it. Yeah.
If I could mention, Jason Moore couldn't make it on the call today. He's got prior engagements. He's also part of the startup team here. Of course, he's an Atari guy. He's got AtariProjects.org. So too bad we missed Jason today. I'm sure he would love to be part of this.
Yeah, I know Jason well, and actually
great.
got to meet him once at VCF East. So great guy.
I didn't realize what a
So
great cross section of vintage computer enthusiasts that we had. Like we have Apple and Commodore
yeah,
and Atari and IBM and Mac, and so yeah, it's pretty cool. I didn't quite appreciate that until we went around the circle here.
and really that's critical when you're going to do a general vintage computer show, is that you have the interest across all the different platforms. Makes it much more interesting, I think.
Well, if I can interject, one of the we do, if you go to our exhibitors list on the website VCFSoCal.com, one of the gentlemen, I can't remember his name right now, but he used 6800 series chips to make a MIDI synthesizer. So I mean, it's not a computer, but it's vintage, and he made it from discrete components, and it looks like it's going to be really wild. So that's the kind of exhibits we're really looking for, is just these fun projects people have done.
Okay, let's get into a few details about the show. It's February 17th and 18th, right? Do I have those dates right?
Yep.
Of 2024 in in Orange, California, or in, I don't know, is it Orange, Anaheim? I guess they're all close together.
Officially Orange, yeah.
Orange, okay. So why did you select this particular location and time frame for the show?
Well, we were looking at the President's Day weekend, because you get an extra non-school night out of that, a 3-day weekend, more time for travel. And that should give folks more time for that communing that we want them to do. We also picked a hotel because we liked the idea of just keeping the party right there. So when the show closes, you can move into the bar and lounge area and hang out. And we were originally looking at kind of the Inland Empire, Ontario area because of LA traffic, and we just expected Orange County to be a little more expensive. But Hotel Farah came back with a great quote, and it's selfishly a 15-minute drive for us, so that's even better. And then it's central to a variety of airports. So we've got John Wayne Airport, you can get there in 15 minutes. And then LAX in Ontario, which are larger airports, are only, about an hour away. So really location was our key. And then it is 3 miles from Disneyland. So we thought that was also another plus. Angel Stadium is there. And then, we got all the beaches. So location was primary, and then they had the space that we wanted. So we've got about 14,000 square foot of display space for the show, and then some add-on areas that are more remote if we need to expand out into them.
So a little bit of the details she's leaving out is the 4 dozen or so venues she researched, and 30 that she spreadsheeted, and 2 dozen that she contacted, and 12 she had discussions with. And it all came down to, price, size, location, amenities. We didn't want a show with broken up rooms in different parts of the building. So we got a nice grand ballroom that the main exhibiting event will be.
Yeah, and it has a separate entrance, and it's kind of like, it's not, it's a little bit separated from the hotel. So it just turned out to be, we thought, the best of everything.
Yep.
Yeah, it seems like a great location and, a great time of the year. I live in Indiana. It's pretty crappy here in February. So the thought of
We
being
were
in Southern
thinking of
California-
you.
Yeah, I bet you were. And
'Cause,
I
go ahead.
I was say I think I could convince my wife to go as a result as well. And there seems to be a lot around that area too that you guys selected. So
Yeah,
go
Randy,
ahead,
they're
Steve.
leaving out South Coast Plaza and some of the great shopping that is immediately around the hotel.
Right.
And I know that
Right.
your wife likes to dump you off at these events and then go and take care of
That's
your
right.
shopping.
You saw that at VCF Midwest, didn't
I
you?
did, I did.
Yeah.
Well, even for people maybe don't want to spend the day at Disney, what it was, 120 a day, but there's downtown Disney, which is you just pay for parking and you get part of Disney and you can eat some food there and stuff. It's between the 2 parks. So even if you just wanted to spend like 3 hours at downtown Disney and then, come over to the show or whatever, there's a lot of stuff to do in that area that weekend.
I've never heard of that. I wasn't aware of that. In my research, it was like I think $160 a day per person for Disneyland, 155.
Yeah, depending on the ticket. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So again, it's a great area and someplace that for that time of the year, the weather should be really nice. So can you summarize some of the major things that are happening at the show? I mean, you've talked a little bit about you're going to have exhibitors, you're going to have speakers. Can you talk about kind of a summary of the show itself?
Do you want to? I'm looking up.
Oh, yeah. So we're trying to get the elements that one would expect out of VCF. So we'll line up some speakers. We've got some kind of in the hopper right now. And then the exhibits, of course. And then we're trying to get some of the local existing groups to join in and do something maybe interactive. Something we've got a foyer area that we can use to have more kind of free form interactive exhibits out there. We're planning to have consignment. We'll have a free table. Am I missing something?
No.
Maybe an auction. We're working out the auction.
The auction.
Oh, maybe an auction as well.
Yeah, we're gonna try.
So typically the VCF's Vintage Computer Fund or festivals, not the VC Fed. Typically, of course, you have exhibits and you have speakers and YouTube roundtable, which we'd like to do something different with that at our VCF. Consignments, as Mick said, for people who have stuff to sell, their extra stuff in their garage. We are having vendors as well. They're set up a little bit differently than the exhibitors because they're selling in California. Some of we've got. I have a crazy list. I mean, I'll just admit it right now. Mick will be just add it to the list. I just come up with these ideas, 100 ideas, and 8 will stick, and then 2 are really only good. So it's like taking photos, you got to take 100 photos. So we do have a list of some crazy things we haven't fleshed out yet. We're 2.5 months out and we're working on getting exhibitors and all. But as Mick mentioned, the foyer, um, it's nice. It's very central to the hall. And I'd like to do things like maybe every hour have some special event in the foyer. Maybe if there's a special guest there that wants to sign computers that they were involved with, or meet a YouTuber for an hour. Just ask them any question you want. So we're trying to come up with these ideas that are interactive. All the VCFs that we've seen and that we've been to, they're all great. Everybody's pulling off what they want to do, and we're trying to build on top of their structure of what they've worked out over the years.
Yeah, they've got a great model.
Yeah,
we just want to take that and
turn it up a notch.
Yeah.
And that's our goal here. So if anybody out there who is watching or listening to this has some idea, it's got to be retro related, of course, which is what, 20 years old or older. If somebody has an idea that they want to exhibit or participate or just get the world to see it, just contact us and we'll fit it in somewhere and make it happen.
Yeah, awesome. That sounds great. One suggestion I would make, this is just selfish, but all of these shows seem to have like a YouTuber panel. They forget about us lowly audio podcasters.
Ah, good point.
I always feel left out. It's just a bummer.
Well,
Yeah.
I did mention that we want to do something different, and one of the thoughts in my head is, and I don't know if I like this wording per se, but under 1,000, sub 1 or sub 10,000 subscribers or whatever, or maybe YouTube channels are just around 1,000 or so. They have things to share and talk about just as important as somebody who has 300,000 subscribers. And I love the YouTube panels, of course. Right? Everybody watches the recorded shows if you didn't make it to those VCFs. But, let's hear from some of the other people who aren't getting the attention. So if there are YouTubers and podcasters out there, and Levi's a podcaster as well, if you're interested in being involved, reach out and maybe I can get a podcaster panel together if enough podcasters get in touch with me, and we'll put something together for that.
Sounds great.
Mhm.
So you guys, it sounds like you're still fairly early in the planning process. You still need sponsors, exhibitors, and speakers, I guess, at this point, right?
We're still looking for more, but we've got a nice core set already set up, which is fantastic.
We've probably already filled up about a quarter of the hall. And we've just been bringing on exhibitors for like 3 weeks, and we still have 2.5 months to go. I'm pretty confident we're going to fill up the hall with exhibitors. We've got a number of speakers lined up already, but I still have more slots. I'm being a little more, not selective on speakers, but I want to make sure, like if we're doing a podcaster roundtable that, we've got space for that and such. So we're doing pretty good. We still have a lot to do, but it's going to fill up in 2.5 months, and it should be a good show.
I'm just waiting for my wife to give me a go here, and then I'm going to sign up to be an exhibitor. So,
well, we can send you some notes on it. I'll give you a bulleted list of all of the features of Orange County.
Awesome. That would definitely be helpful. So how's the response been so far from the community? You got a lot of interest in people coming and getting a lot of contacts and that sort of thing?
We are. Well, let's ask Rob, because Rob is really pushing a bunch of the stuff out there. You've talked to a lot of people, Rob.
He was our man on the ground at
yeah, the man on the ground. I mean, but from a couple of perspectives, right? From a sponsorship standpoint for local businesses that are involved in the tech industry, working through a couple of conversations with their various marketing departments, which is actually, pretty cool. But reference, referral, right? Sponsorship, people that we know that, we've been engaged with for a long time. And that's one part of it. There's ongoing discussions on all of the bulletin boards, on all the BBSs, especially the Atari side of it. So we've been posting that and having a lot of conversation. We've surfaced a bunch of people from the San Diego area as well as from the LA area that are highly interested in attending. And we've got people, right, joining. And then from our East Coast crew, and we kind of recruited some of the SISOPs, right, and SysOps, some of the people from, the community. They're working on that as well. So we've got people that are visiting from the East Coast. We've got people obviously coming up from the Southwest, and a ton of locals that are highly interested, not only in attending, but also in, donating their time to be able to make the event, right, just rock.
Yeah, awesome. I imagine you guys will have a good turnout. Again, just the location, the timing. It's not near any other shows, as far as timing goes. And then, just the way you guys, I've been very impressed with the way you've gotten information out. The website looks great. I mean, it's really coming together nicely for the first show.
Oh, thanks.
I've got to give you kudos there. So tell us how people can sign up for rooms and get tickets for the show.
Yeah, well, you just go to VCFSoCal.com. We've got a variety of ticket options. We tried to make it fun and put a super fan, vintage fan bundle in there where you get some extra perks with that ticket. And then there's a link in there to a great rate at the hotel. It's a DoubleTree, Hilton DoubleTree in orange. It says of Anaheim because they have to represent Anaheim as well. But we really got a very competitive group rate for attendees.
Right. Well, $159 a night, and you're in Southern California, so it's a really good rate. A little bit.
Yeah, I thought it was.
Yeah.
And if anybody has trouble with because it's a hotel link to book a hotel room, the hotels are always kind of goofing things up. So if you try to book some nights, maybe outside of the weekend, when we have many people that have booked like Thursdays and Sunday and Monday, because they want to spend more time in Southern California while they're here.
Yeah, we'll make it happen. Just send us a note. And
if there's a problem, just send us a note.
Yeah.
We'll get the hotel to correct their issue as they punch things around. But it's pretty good so far. We've got what would you say, about 60? We count the nights, so there's about 60 nights booked already at the hotel.
Half of we had committed to 50 hotel rooms sold for 2 nights, and we've sold half of them already.
Yeah, and then we'll bump that up as we get closer and people need more rooms.
Great.
But
And I like the
act
fact.
now.
Act now.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, I'm trying to get an answer quickly. I like the fact too that you can keep that same rate even for 2 days before and 2 days after. So if you want to just stay in that spot, you want to go to Disneyland like we do, it's really nice that you can just stay right there.
Well,
Make your Disneyland reservation now too, because that can
Right.
sell
Yeah,
out.
you need to make reservations at Disney. I'm even not used to that being a local. But do both.
Don't show up that weekend and get tickets.
Oh yeah, no,
Disney.
you need to make your reservation for Disney and your reservation for the hotel.
Yeah. As far as as far as our tickets, we'll of course be selling them at the door as well that weekend. And Randall, you brought up that the show, correct, is Saturday, Sunday, February 17th and 18th. But the day before, on Friday, February 16th, is the load-in afternoon for exhibitors and vendors. And we're having a welcome party specifically for exhibitors and vendors and VIPs and speakers that evening. No attendees, just everybody we just mentioned. Friday evening, so that's going to be a private welcome party. So anybody who's looking to exhibit should get the hotel, of course, for Friday night and Saturday night, and plan on being in Southern California on Friday. To take part in that. And that's another part of our planning. The other VCFs are great, but we got to, like, say, Texas or Mountain View, and we were separated in a separate hotel. We didn't know what was going on the night before because we got in there early so we could set up for the next day. And we decided that, exhibitors, hopefully, 90+% will set up that Friday afternoon, and then we'll just all be able to hang out. Like we met Matt and Levi at Texas, but had very little time to talk with them.
I wanted to mention that Matt was across the room with us, and we could have spent that entire VCF not crossing paths because you needed to leave your booth to go talk to other folks. And I think it was actually Jeffrey from VC Fed that was like, hey, there's a guy from California over there. you should talk to them and connected us. So we're hoping to mitigate that and be able to have everybody have, that community established before the show even starts.
Right. So it gives the exhibitors and vendors a chance to actually hang out and talk about all this stuff without the attendees all,
Getting in the way.
getting in the way, which of course we want the attendees to get in the way, but during the show hours.
Yeah.
So we've got that going on Friday night. So you want to make sure that you're going to be there, because obviously you're going to, either exhibit or VIP on that Friday party.
Yeah, no, that's a great way to encourage networking and allow people a chance to do that. Yeah. No, it sounds awesome. The show sounds like a lot of fun. I really appreciate, I'm not going to keep you guys any longer, but I really appreciate, everything that you're doing, and hope to see you there. I really do. I fully
Well,
expect
we hope
to.
you make it.
Yeah, it's probably 90%, but
Okay.
I will try to make it. Anything more you guys want to say before we close here?
I'm good. You guys
Yeah, I
good?
wanted Matt and Levi, you guys, and
Well,
Rob.
Well, I'd like to have Levi quickly just tell us about. Levi's a sponsor as well for the show and exhibiting. You're exhibiting some cool retro stuff, but you're sponsoring as
Pathways to Invention, which is a documentary film that I directed and produced. And we hope to have an announcement about distribution by the time the show rolls around, but it's a film about people who invent and create things, which sort of seems like a nice dovetail into this show. So even though it's not directly related to retro computers, I felt like the spirit of it was very much in the retro computing communities.
If you go to our page, you can click on a link through to a trailer for that.
Yes.
And I was impressed. I actually felt like some of the people in the trailer, like I've done some odd things that you just try to discover something, and it looks really good for that.
Yeah, it's really about the invention process and how some of the best inventors didn't set out to be inventors. They just set out to tackle a challenge. And I think we all, as retro computer enthusiasts trying to keep these things alive, are doing that almost every day. Something breaks, you've got to replace something. A chip that's no longer made disappears. Someone's got to come along and invent it again.
And that leads to Matt, who
Right.
Matt, unfortunately, we want at the show, but we had to kick him out. But no, Matt couldn't.
It's true.
Matt
It's
couldn't
true.
make the show. But Matt, you created, replacement batteries for IBM ThinkPads, right?
Yeah. No, my path to retro kind of took a little bit of a different one, where I got a lot of creative outlets, and so I've tried to reinvent things, reverse engineer things, make things, and so but it's all kind of rooted in retro. And yeah, no, it's absolutely a ton of fun. But yeah, unfortunately, work has called me away. I was super bummed when I heard about it, but this is going to be the first of many, and so really excited to be a part of the team.
And then, of course, Rob's going to be exhibiting Southern Amos. Are you bringing that new device and setting up a BBS in-house?
Yeah, I mean, a multitude of devices, everything from the 800 all the way up to the 1200. Every modem that's ever been made, every device, right, from a Wi-Fi standpoint, of course, FujiNet, and the multi-port, multi-node devices, and setting up displays, and taking everything from coding all the way through to, to the telecom side. So looking forward to that. Yeah, quite a bit of this has been, has been put together because it's so easy to travel from my home here in Southern California to the event that I plan on bringing quite a bit of gear.
I think all of us can agree we're a little bit selfish that it's in our own backyard, so it's going to be a great show.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I want to thank you, Randall, for helping spread the word for the show. I really appreciate it. We want to make sure we want a great show, but more importantly, we want to make sure it's a great enough show that we pull it off and we can do it again next year. We've put a lot of work into it this year that is just going to be all there for us next year, and we just want to make sure we get it off on the right foot and keep it going.
Yeah, excellent. I'm excited. By the way, call me Randy. Randall's
Randy.
a little too formal. Yeah, I'm excited about this. It sounds like a great new show in a different location, and I hope everyone who can attend takes the opportunity to do so, because it sounds like you guys are doing a lot of great planning for it, and it sounds like there'll be a lot of fun. So I
Great.
appreciate your time today,
Thank
and
you.
I'll let you know when I get something published here, guys. And thanks again for your time.
Okay,
Thanks for having us on,
Thank
Randy.
you.
Yeah.
All right.
Good to
Bye,
see you
guys.
guys.
Thanks,
Thanks,
everyone.
Randy.
See ya.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Take care.